This guy can level up even in his sleep and can automatically use or fire his abilities after programming them. Before I spoil the fun, let's start the story. The aptitude ceremony is held when a human turns 15, and they receive the gift of magic. With the priest's appraisal, the magical power awakens, and that's when they learn their magic aptitude. Alto and Lily, his childhood friend, talked about the ceremony they'll be partaking in. If she remembers correctly, they also find out what type of magic they can use and how many spells they can cast at once. And depending on the results, even a commoner could rise to the status of a noble. Alto's father was like that. He also started as a commoner and climbed his way up to Marquis thanks to his aptitude. That's how much the results of this ceremony can shape their entire life. They say if one's aptitude's low, even finding work becomes a struggle, so it's kind of scary. Alto agreed. It's like their whole future gets decided today. Lily got up from the couch and called Alto. They're gonna be late, so they should start moving. While walking through the city, Lily teased Alto about his clothes. Even on a day like this, he's still wearing that same outfit. Alto claimed that picking something else is too much work. She's known him since they were kids, right? She should know that he only owns one kind of outfit. Of course she knew that, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime kind of day. He could at least dress up a little. Alto crossed his arms. Buying clothes to wear once is just a waste, Lily exclaimed in embarrassment, realizing that he was targeting her. He's such a cheapskate. When a girl dresses up, he's supposed to compliment her. Alto, the nonchalant guy that he is, was curious if she actually felt happy getting complimented on her clothes. Of course she does. People do, actually, even if he doesn't care. Saying just a few words can make someone's day. Isn't that what they'd call cost-efficient? Alto thought about it. That is indeed fair. All right then, he'll compliment her. He turned back to her and told her she looked beautiful, causing her to stop in her tracks. Lily's face reddened as she exclaimed in shock, before slumping down and sighing. That's not how she imagined it at all. Still, it kinda took the edge off. Alto's always calm and unshakable, but he actually seemed a little nervous. Lily looked forward and began running when she finally saw the church where the ceremony's being held. They entered inside and lined up in the middle, along with other teens their age. Holding an orb in his hand, the high priest finally began the aptitude ceremony and called a guy named John to step forward. The orb glowed as he appraised his magic aptitude, and the result was 2 magic circuits. That's the bottom tier. Knights and adventurers, basically the top tier professions, are expected to hold barriers while fighting. With 2 circuits, one can do a barrier and 1 offensive spell. With 4 circuits, it's a barrier and 3 spells at once, which is a huge difference. And on top of that, the growth aptitude is also appraised. John had E rank on barrier magic, water and ice magic, dark magic, physical magic, enhancement magic, and appraisal magic. Then, D rank on fire magic and F rank on holy magic. Low growth aptitude means it's hell to level up his magic. With an A rank growth aptitude, it only takes 100 experience points to level up. But with the F rank growth aptitude, it takes 10,000 experience points to level up. No matter how long one grinds, they will always be stuck at level 1. That kind of magic circuit and growth aptitude will make becoming an adventurer probably out of reach. Next, Sasha was called. That's 5 people done with the ceremony. It's about time they get called. Just as Alto thought that, the high priest called for Lily, who bid Alto farewell first before heading up the platform and sitting on the chair. The orb glowed as the high priest appraised her. However, he ended up exclaiming in shock and announcing that she had 7 magic circuits. This was a shock to everyone, including Lily herself. Additionally, her growth aptitude had A rank or higher in every single magic category. The crowd whispered amongst themselves. That's the same class as legendary adventurers and elite knights. She had magic circuits strong enough to carve her name into history. Even just 1 B-level aptitude is enough to become a top-tier adventurer. She's a once-in-a-million prodigy. As the crowd excitedly murmured praises, the priests had a meeting of their own. They were deciding whether to inform the king or have Lily meet him directly, and the high priest eventually decided to make her meet the king. He apologized for the sudden notice and asked her to follow the priest. Lily was confused, but eventually followed behind the priest. Alto couldn't believe Lily had that kind of power hidden in her. He's happy for her, but still, it feels like his childhood friend just disappeared into some faraway world. Then his name was called, so he got up on the platform and sat on the chair to get appraised. He didn't need to be like Lily, just enough to become a knight. The orb glowed and the high priest announced that he had 1 magic circuit. Alto stared at the priest in disbelief and asked him to repeat his words, so the priest did so. 1? That means once he casts a barrier, he can't do anything else. And as for his growth aptitude, every magic category was F ranked. Alto trembled. No way. Is this it for him? He quietly walked down as the high priest called another person. While walking back, the people he passed by laughed at him. Alto can't be a knight or even an adventurer, and there's no future for him in any normal profession either. Once he got back home, Alto's expression darkened in fear when he heard a familiar voice call out to him, wondering when his father got back home. It seems like he heard the results. His father was dismayed and told him that he's leaving their house immediately because he is nothing but a disgrace to the Wellesley family. His younger brother will take over as heir, and he is never to speak the name Wellesley again. The moment his father left, Alto fell to his knees. He's got one magic circuit, every aptitude ranked F. He's not even qualified for a normal job, and now he's kicked out of his own home. How the hell is he supposed to live from here on? For now, Alto decided to work in a guild. This mustached musclehead called for Alto, labeling him as no skill, and handed him a stack of documents, scolding him for not cleaning up like he asked. Alto took the documents, internally cursing because this is that guy's job, not his. He was fixing the documents when the musclehead smacked his back to hurry him as there's still a ton of work left. After working all day, all he got was 4 coins. Alto sighed. Reality is backbreaking labor for barely enough to survive. Tonight, he's determined to finally go to sleep early, but the musclehead stopped him from leaving. They're not done yet, and isn't he the one who brought up self-improvement? Then, he should get to work. Alto had no choice but to comply. He entered the messy storage room. And to top off all his suffering, there's this unpaid overtime. Or rather, what kind of self-improvement is this BS? He sighed before slapping his cheeks, trying to get himself together. At least a no-skill like him even got a job. He crouched down and picked up the things scattered on the floor and placed them in their respective shelves. Next, he tried to carry a huge wooden box. It was quite heavy. If only he could use magic, then he could just move it by making it float. That would save time and effort, and would be so much easier. He continued to organize the storage until it was late at night and he collapsed on the floor. He's finally done, but he was too tired to even go back to the inn. Guess he's staying here again tonight. When was the last time he even went back to the inn? No, how many nights has it been? He's starving. The next day, Alto, whose eye bags are now double their size, went back to sorting. In the end, he only got 2 hours of sleep. Then, his eyes widened when he heard Lily looking for him at the front desk. She was cute, but the musclehead had to apologize as there was no guy like that here. Lily insisted that Alto had to be here and begged to let her see him even just for a little bit. Alto listened to their conversation, wondering why Lily was looking for him when she's got her future set now, and he's just a no-skill with no status, a low-income nobody. He turned around and just went back to organizing. The gap between them is now as vast as heaven and earth. There's no way he can face her now. Back outside, Lily bowed, begging him to let her see Alto, but he still refused. She didn't want to use this, but she had no choice. She pulled out a paper from her bag, confusing the musclehead, but he soon exclaimed in shock when he read it, and immediately went to get Alto. He called Alto and instructed him not to dare piss Lily off, as she has a letter of introduction from the Knight Captain. Also, he shouldn't even dare to go around bad-mouthing their guild after they took someone like him in. Alto assured him that it's fine and he'll be right back, but the musclehead told him he should keep Lily happy and hype up how great their guild is. He'll even let them use the meeting room. Alto scowled. This guy? Is he trying to sell to the knights, huh? When they got back, the musclehead patted Alto in a friendly manner, apologizing for making Lily wait since Alto just finished his shift on time, so they were handing things over. Lily ignored him and beamed after finally finding Alto. She thanked the musclehead for his concern, and he waved his hand to bid them farewell. He really only talks nonsense. Alto escorted Lily inside the meeting room, where she asked if he was okay since he looked pale, but Alto just assured her that he's fine. Then, she asked what kind of work he does at this guild. Alto looked away, responding that he just did a bit of this and that. Silence enveloped them for a while, until Lily informed him that she got accepted into the Royal Knight Academy. Alto turned to her with wide eyes and congratulated her. The Royal Knight Academy is an institution for training knights, and passing the knight selection exam grants one the title of knight. With Lily's legendary magic aptitude and circuit count, it's only natural. If she had a letter from the Knight Captain, then the kingdom probably requested her enrollment. Lily informed him that they're holding an entrance ceremony for midterm transfers next week, and once she's enrolled, she'll be in the dorms so they won't see each other for a while. In that case, he'll be rooting for her. This completely separates Lily's path from his, and their paths will probably never cross again. How cruel. And yet, a part of him feels relieved. Lily's not good at beating around the bush, so she'll be honest. The day after the aptitude ceremony, she went to his house, but the servants told her that no one by that name lives there. When she asked the priest, they told her that Alto was a no-skill. Because she'd asked about his father, she begged the priest to contact the knights, and after their investigation, she finally found him today. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she told him that when she heard that he'd been kicked out, she was so scared that he might have disappeared somewhere. She began to tremble when he stood up and questioned his own worth, even calling himself no-skill, like the others, and shouted that being a no-skill didn't matter. She just hoped that he wouldn't disappear on her again. Being called no skill made Alto believe he was worthless, but it seems like there's still someone who cares this much, and it's Lily. No matter what his father or the guild members say, having even one person who acknowledges his existence should be enough. He crouched down to level himself with Lily and caressed her hair, apologizing for making her worry and assuring her that he'll be fine now. Lily looked up at him, with tears still pouring from her eyes. She smiled, wiping them, and told him not to scare her like that again. The Alto she knows could handle guild work effortlessly while looking bored. That was true. His work efficiency was unusually poor. Lily chuckled. It's so typical of him to think about efficiency the moment he recovers, but she's glad he's back to his old self. A few days later, Alto stood in an open area. Since that day with Lily, he's focused on optimizing daily tasks, constantly improving methods to build job competency. As a result, he no longer has to stay overnight and can now get proper sleep. He's still mocked at the guild, but whatever. It might be because Lily talks with him every day that he's feeling a lot better. She even comes to his inn, and talking with her restores his energy better than sleep sometimes. He needs to practice magic properly, for both Lily and himself. He remembered the musclehead informing him that he'll be joining the next adventurer party as their errand boy, so he should make himself useful by handling sorting daily. Even as a no-skill, he should at least learn basic barrier magic. Alto had given up on magic so much he never even checked his status. Now then, to open the status window, he should focus. After a few seconds, a status window finally appeared before him. It was all level 1 since he never used magic, obviously. Does he really need to grind 10,000 experience points just to level up? Well, there are other methods to gain experience points. First is to use the skill. Each skill used gives +1 experience points, and the other is to clear a dungeon and defeat monsters for bonus experience points. Normally, leveling takes about 100 experience points, and the required experience points increase each level. But in Alto's case, he needed 100 times more experience points than the regular person. Worse, multiple magic circuits lets one to fire skills simultaneously. However, with just one circuit, his experience gain is slower than normal. So, Alto's magic growth suffers from ridiculous experience requirements and inability to multicast skills. This is completely hopeless. He rummaged through a magic book to look for a barrier magic that even he can use, and landed on a page that had one that he should be able to cast. He muttered the incantation, body barrier, and magic enveloped his body, surprising him about it actually working. A window popped up before him, indicating the barrier's durability. Looks like it's the life gauge. A barrier stays up while gauge remains. When the gauge empties, the barrier breaks, and the caster will take damage. He did manage to activate it, and it's going up, one at a time. But how long will this even take? Suddenly, he heard a voice, informing him that magic usage awakened auto magic. It was added to his status window as well. Another window popped up, telling him to input magic for autocast, so he registered a fireball, which he needed to visualize the title or the first number to activate. Alto did as the system said. A fireball launched from his fingertip. There wasn't even any incantation. He's never heard of that. It's still weak at level 1, but still. Another window popped up to inform him that he can register multiple skills for combos. He was surprised at first, but still registered 2 times for fireball and magic buff. He was able to launch 2 fireballs and magic buffs, which he found to be incredible as it casts exactly as written. Wait, he just realized. His barrier's still up. Does auto magic not use circuits and handles the casting itself? He checked his status window and was surprised to see that he gained experience points from auto casts. Alto clenched his fists, trembling with excitement. It seems he can spam magic without circuit strain. Does this mean he can farm unlimited experience points? Another window popped up before him to inform him of what to do when he wants to use auto magic in loops. Wait, he can program loops too? That means even hopeless magic can level up efficiently now. He might still fail as a knight, but it's definitely possible to be an adventurer. When Lily visited him, he told her about what had happened, though she found it hard to believe. Alto agreed, and decided to show her. He thought about text too, magic buff, and a light shone around his body. Lily stood up, surprised that it actually worked. Did he have this kind of unique skill all along? Actually, he didn't even know about it until today. A unique skill is a special type of magic that doesn't fall under the standard 8 magic categories. The most famous and powerful unique skills in the world include Sword Saint, where one's sword technique skyrockets beyond natural limits, and Clairvoyance, where one can see anywhere in the world without even moving from their spot. In a normal person's case, they'd have to chant every time to activate a skill. But in Alto's case, the skill auto-casts without him lifting a finger. Lily heard that unique skills are rare, and hardly any are useful in actual combat. But if Alto can rapid cast without chanting, then no one can match his casting speed. That means he's got unbeatable potential. With this, he's absolutely gonna get stronger. It's not just about rapid casting either. If he does something in between, he thinks he could adapt it even more. Lily thought so too. Now she's really looking forward to what comes next, but the biggest question right now is whether the auto magic still works while he's asleep. Sure, auto magic is amazing, but he can't just fall asleep in a dungeon. That's seriously dangerous. That made Alto laugh. Of course not. What he meant was if it works, that means they could start farming experience points at insanely high efficiency from tonight. That's the real question here. Lily was speechless before sitting back down. So, he's saying that experience points might pile up automatically while he's asleep. That's right. They spend a fifth of every day unconscious just to recover stamina, and he's always felt like that was such a waste. Wow, he's seriously the king of cost efficiency, but Alto thought that was just normal. Still, it's kinda scary thinking about his skill going off non-stop in his sleep. Alto's also a little worried that something might go haywire and explode. Lily agreed. After all, no one in history has ever triggered their skills in their sleep before. But on the other hand, gradually increasing the number of activations each night to check would be too inefficient. In that case, Lily had the perfect solution. She'll sleep over tonight and keep an eye on him. If anything weird happens, she'll wake him up right away. That's a solid plan, but he had to think about it first. Lily was surprised to see that Alto's actually speechless for once. Spending the night under the same roof, even he's feeling the weight of that suggestion. Alto really appreciates the offer. But that would be super inefficient for her, though it would be efficient for him. Lily froze and waved her hands in embarrassment. Maybe he's got a point, but she can't even speak properly. A light bulb flashed above Alto's head upon realizing something and crossed his arms, smirking. She's planning to ask for something in return, isn't she? Lily froze, confused. She took the opportunity to get away from this embarrassing situation and agreed that she wanted to ask for one thing. He's got the day off in 2 days, right? Alto answered affirmatively. There's some annual guild appreciation party that only the core members get invited to, and he's not really interested. It's just a waste of time. Well, the school entrance ceremony for the Royal Knights Academy is the day after, and Lily wanted to pick up a few things before then. So, she was hoping he'd come shopping with her. Alto thought about it. Until now, he's always thought it was inefficient and pointless to spend money on anything besides what's absolutely necessary. Wandering around shops and wasting time debating over what to buy didn't seem worth it. But if he uses auto magic, he can train while he shops. If that's the case, maybe it's not such a bad idea, and it might actually be important to look around the city for a change. Plus, once Lily starts school, they won't get to see each other much. That part's definitely gonna feel a little lonely. Finally, he agreed. But he doesn't have much money to throw around right now, so he'll mostly just be tagging along while she shops. Is she okay with that? Lily chuckled. Even if he did have money, she still can't imagine him going all in on shopping anyway. The night wore on, and Alto finally managed to activate his skill while sleeping. Lily sat on a chair beside him, poking his cheek and then laughing. He still makes the same face when he sleeps, just like when they were kids. They were born on the same day, and ever since then, they've always been together. He set his sights on becoming a knight, and it seems she naturally started chasing the same dream right behind him. She really thought they'd stay together forever. But when she heard the Royal Knights Academy was a boarding school, she couldn't answer right away. In a society built on class, the gap between statuses only gets wider with time. Eventually, it's inevitable that she and Alto would be forced to go their separate ways, and when she finally found him, she seriously considered turning down the offer to enroll. But seeing his lively expression today made her change her mind. That unique skill of his is insanely strong too. Maybe she can still hold on to the dream of them becoming knights together a little longer. After confirming that Alto's auto magic is working just fine, Lily curled up, hugging her legs, and promised the sleeping Alto that she's gonna become a knight. The next day, Alto woke up and saw Lily sleeping in the same position as last night. He decided to let her sleep a little more since she must have pushed herself too hard. Now, he should check the auto magic. His sleep training test went well, however, it seems to shut off automatically when he runs out of mana. Since Lily didn't wake him up, that must mean the skill worked the whole night just fine. Mana works like stamina. If he doesn't use any skills and just waits, it'll naturally recover on its own. The only downside of running out of mana is that he's unable to use his skills. Well, this proves he can actually train in his sleep. He checked his stats and was shocked to see that he gained 800 experience points in auto magic and buff magic. Lily woke up at Alto's loud shout and asked what the matter was. Alto apologized. It's just that his auto magic is insane. That day, Alto got back to work, with the musclehead calling him names again. But instead of feeling depressed like before, he actually felt determined. He knew that just because he unlocked auto magic doesn't mean he's suddenly powerful. He still needs way more experience to level up than anyone else, and it's not like his skill power shot up either. The people in the guild still treat him like dirt, and using skills non-stop builds up fatigue. but no matter the time or place, he can feel himself getting stronger and stronger. That feeling alone is enough to keep him going at work. After his work at the guild, he accompanied Lily to go shopping like promised. They went to Minton, a big city, and ended up buying a ton. Can they even carry all this? Lily gave him a thumbs up and assured him that there was no problem. Then, she used magic to make their things float. All right then, they should hit the next shop. She remembered seeing a bookstore over there. After going around for a while, Lily checked her list and pointed to the last store in it, a clothing shop. Didn't they already hit one earlier? They did, but this one's got what she really wants. Alto was confused. Is that how it works? Lily pouted and claimed that it is indeed how it works. This might take a while, so she suggested he checks out the training center nearby. Alto asked what kind of place that was, and Lily was surprised that he didn't know about it. Since he can't just randomly test offensive skills anywhere, there's a facility where he can freely use high-tier skills as much as he wants. They call it the training center. Alto thought it cost money, but since it partnered with the guild Alto's working at, he didn't have to pay anything since he's technically a guild staff. Alto's eyes widened in shock when he heard that and immediately ran off. When he arrived at the Minton training center, he didn't expect it to be this packed. He heard one of the adventurers asking why it's crowded today, and the other explained that monsters have been popping up around the streets and mountain paths of Minton lately. That's why it's gotten this crazy. That does make sense since Alto's guild's been swamped with extra requests and are short on people, which is probably why they even reached out to a grunt like him. Alright, while he's here, he'll test every offensive skill he's got. Several hours later, Lily went to the training center to fetch Alto after she finished shopping. Perfect timing. He just ran out of mana and was taking a break. Guess that's enough training for today. The two began walking as Alto told her about his great experience at the training center. Then, he noticed that all the stuff they bought was gone and asked Lily about it. The two sat on a nearby bench, and Lily handed him a sandwich before explaining that there was a traveling merchant offering delivery services, so she left it with him. Then, she thanked him for today, even though he just tagged along. The fun part of shopping is just walking around and looking together anyway. They haven't done that since he got all obsessed with cost performance. Besides, they won't get to talk like this for a while starting tomorrow. Right, that's true. Alto looked up in the sky. It really is incredible. He's gotten this far thanks to Lily always pulling him forward. Without her, he probably would have stayed alone, and wouldn't even be able to look up anymore. Lily faced him with a determined expression. There's something she wants him to hear. Does he remember the day he told her about his dream? She was crying over something small, and he saw her and said, "Cheer up, that even if things get hard, someone will come to save her one day." He promised to be her knight and rescue her himself, so she didn't need to worry. Alto's face reddened in embarrassment and asked when that was. It was when they were around 8. Really, even as a kid, he kind of went overboard with that one. It's just embarrassing now. Lily laughed. Is that the part he's embarrassed about? Back then, she didn't have any dreams and just thought that as long as life was fun, that was enough. But the more time she spent with him, the more she wanted to become a knight too, together with him. And now, she's finally taking the first step toward making that dream come true. Alto's sure that she's got what it takes to be a top-tier knight, one who'll lead the whole nation someday. Lily frowned. Was he even listening? She stood up, claiming that her dream is to become a knight with him, and her starting school first just means she's heading to the starting line a little early. Alto stared at her with wide eyes at first before finally smiling and agreeing. It might take him some time, but he swore he'll catch up. Lily held a necklace, saying that she'll be waiting, before running behind him to put the necklace around his neck. It's a dragon scale from a knight's hunt. It's thin and doesn't need any care. She figured it wouldn't be a hassle that way. Alto held the necklace, just staring at it before thanking her. Then, he looked back at her, claiming he's never seen a shop that sells stuff like this before. It seems like the only place around here that has them is in Minton, so it ended up being a long trip today. Looks like she really planned this out, huh? Lily chuckled. That's right. She's glad that it looks great on him. Even something like getting a gift makes him kind of happy, right? Alto smiled, agreeing. 6 months after the aptitude ceremony, Alto entered a low-tier dungeon to exterminate poison rabbits. Among the many monsters out there, they're bottom tier. Even someone with 0 combat experience can take one down. One barely gets any experience points from them, so adventurers avoid this quest. But if they're left alone, they start damaging crops and stuff. So low-ranked adventurers get stuck cleaning them up. Well, for Alto, it's perfect for training and making some pocket change. He raised his hand and activated a fireball, burning the poison rabbit he spotted on the grass field. All right, that's number 20. He took that one down real clean and got the poison stone easy. Guess he'll take a break for now. Only poison rabbits show up around here anyway. Alto sat by a rock and drank water. He might as well check his stats while he's got time. His magic circuit is still 1. However, his auto magic is level 9. Barrier magic, level 10. Fire Magic. Level 5, Water and Ice Magic. Level 7, Holy and Dark Magic. Still Level 1, Physical Magic. Level 4, Enhancement Magic. Level 10, and Appraisal Magic. Level 9. Auto Magic's almost at level 10 as well. For 6 months of work, he'd say he's done pretty well. Once a normal magic hits level 10, one usually unlocks a stronger version of the spell, or sometimes a whole new ability kicks in. He wondered how this'll go. After all, it's a unique skill. Well, he's this close, so he might as well hit level 10 today. After 3 hours of grinding, Alto finally made it to level 10. Because of that, the conditional activation is now available. 6 months of constantly using auto magic is totally worth it. But what is conditional branching? Does that mean if he sets up a condition, the system will judge it and fire off the skill automatically? He tried putting the condition on using a fireball if a poison rabbit appeared. Is it something like this? He's not sure either. Guess he'll go look for a poison rabbit to test it. Alto looked around and even crouched to look through the grass field, when suddenly the system notified him that a fireball activated and hit the poison rabbit a few meters away from him. No way. It auto-attacked before he even saw the poison rabbit. If he sets the conditions ahead of time, it casts magic on its own, totally separate from his will. Up until now, the only thing Alto could do was keep casting the same skill non-stop. Even when tagging along with adventurers as a porter, all he could do was spam buffs, never actually helping in a fight. But now, if he set it up like when a poison rabbit shows up, casts fireball, he could literally be asleep and still take them down automatically. This ability's perfect for him. Totally made for him. Next, he's gonna try taking down an ice needle. Alright, time to go all in and wipe them out. After completing the quest, Alto went to a guild. It's actually his first time stepping into a guild that isn't his own. They're even selling weapons directly here. Guilds generally fall into 2 types. The first handles quests in-house with their own adventurers. That's the kind of guild Alto works at. The second gathers requests broadly and assigns them to freelance adventurers or parties. This is the kind Alto's working with today. Alto walked to the front desk and put his bag down, containing materials from the monsters he killed, in exchange for cash. The receptionist was surprised to see so much and questioned whether he was holding on to them this whole time. Alto denied the accusation and explained that he just gathered them today. It seems he's gotten more efficient with his extermination work. Still, the receptionist has never heard of someone clearing this many in a single day. To make matters worse, Alto brought out another bag containing herbs and asked the receptionist to take care of it as it's for another quest. Appraisal magic's been running on auto the whole time. He set it to alert him when it detects herbs. That alone made everything go way smoother. The bag baffled the receptionist. Did he gather all these herbs today as well? How is this possible? And this is mare grass, so unless he's using high-level appraisal magic, he'd need to check at least 10 times to spot something like this. No offense, but an adventurer at his level shouldn't be able to find this stuff. Alto laughed, nervously looking away. Maybe it just got mixed in by chance. The receptionist thought there was no way that was luck, but she just let it slide. 1 hour later, Alto was given the money in exchange for the materials and herbs he brought. It's more than what he'd usually make in several days at the guild. The receptionist leaned over the counter and whispered, asking if he was sure that he didn't want to quit the guild and go full-time gatherer. Alto just laughed. Gathering is actually pretty fun, but he's got a goal he's chasing, so he'll pass for now. Alto joined a party as a porter and entered a low-tier dungeon. Thanks to the conditional auto magic feature, he can handle gathering quests way more efficiently now. But his work as a porter for the guild is just as important. Alto activated Magic Buff. Once he casts a spell, the effect lingers for a while, and he can even stack it. But to stack it, he needs multiple magic circuits, and if he uses it on his teammates during a quest instead of on himself, he earns way more experience points. And even if he's just a porter, being in the dungeon still gives him some experience points. Sure, he can earn experience points on his own, but in a party, it builds up way faster. The party leader spotted a lizard man, and they all dealt with it using each of their weapons. The leader used his skill Fire Lance, and his teammates followed behind, cutting off the lizard man's arm with his sword. And finally, the leader dealt the finishing blow with his lance. After defeating the lizardman, the party leader scoffed. That's what he's talking about. He's on fire today. Then, he turned to Alto, scolding him for just standing there, and ordered him to get moving and start collecting. They're doing him a favor by even letting someone useless like him tag along. This is the only reason they brought him, so he should go start collecting. Alto quietly obeyed, deciding not to further engage. Once they got back, the party talked about the quests being a breeze, and their body feeling lighter these days. Little did they know, it's all thanks to the buff Alto uses. The leader told his team to go home as they're done for today, and ordered Alto to sort out all the items, theirs and everyone else's, and to have it all done by tomorrow. Monster cores need to be checked carefully one by one, or else he won't know what type they are, so he shouldn't slack off. Then, he walked out of the door to go hit the bar. Alto walked towards the storage room, complaining that the leader didn't have to tell him that. Then, he opened the door to the storage room. Alright, how much does he have to deal with today? Alto's face immediately contorted into exasperation after seeing the mess inside the storage room. This is all the loot from every single adventurer who worked today, however. He's got automatic magic on his side. He used conditional branching to sort. For each is a syntax he learned over the past 6 months, and it lets him repeat something for every specified item. And now that he can use conditional branching, he can split the processing depending on the result of the appraisal. The 3 common item types get auto-sorted: hardcore ore to the north, magic quartz to the east, flame ore to the south, and anything rare gets appraised individually and sent west. Without this setup, the job would seriously take all day. After he's done with the manual appraisals, he now just has to wait for the system to finish sorting. While he waits, he might as well make the most of it and study, so he pulled out a book and sat in a corner, reading. He's not giving up. Not after the promise he made to Lily. 2.5 years later, Alto spent every day honing his skills with the same old outfit while working as a porter at the Adventurers Guild. Is he not going to change his clothes until this is over? Anyway, before he knew it, the party he joined kept climbing the ranks. And now, they're the top team in the entire guild. Now that they can take on tougher dungeons, it's great for leveling up. Though there is a catch. Even though the party got promoted, nothing's changed for him. He studied magic and dungeons every single day, and he's confident that he knows more than anyone else in the guild. But adventuring is all about strength. No one ever listens to what he has to say anyway. It was another day of sorting items. Alto groaned. There's so much to do again today. Still, he activated inventory sorting to finish the job. He's built up quite a bit of experience, so it seems like his skills have finally reached the level of a rookie adventurer. Honestly, this job would normally take at least 10 people, but he's doing it alone. Poor Alto. 30 minutes later, while he's studying magic, he gets notified that auto magic has leveled up. Finally, auto magic is now level 20. He's been activating this skill every single day for 2.5 years. Back at level 10, it unlocked conditional branching, but now, it's simultaneous activation. Up until now, it was impossible to trigger multiple skills at exactly the same time, but now it's possible. This means he could stack offensive spells and fire them all at once. He excitedly ran to the training yard out back to try this new skill out right away. Once he got there, he went with 16 simultaneous casts of Fireball for now, and he should be able to stack 10 of them. After activating it, he was baffled to see a huge sphere of Fireball burning the ground. This is amazing. Even his weak attack spell, when multiplied by 16, packs the punch of a high-level adventurer's magic. What if he adds enhancement magic to it? Thanks to using skills non-stop for 24 hours a day, his mana pool is above average, so it really comes in handy at times like this. Alright then, he'll activate simultaneous activation again. This time it was a bigger sphere of fireballs. This is insane. It's got power on par with Dragon Breath. With this, he could become a real adventurer. No, maybe he could even get into a knight academy. The next day, the leader of the adventurer party that Alto belongs to thanked everyone for gathering. Alto immediately knew something was going on because this leader of his used to always be in a bad mood, but now he's even saying thanks. The leader told them that he got called in directly by the guild master this morning. According to him, their guild has been achieving great feats since 2 years ago, and they've been expanding at an unprecedented rate. Then, he pointed to Alto, asking what the guild should do in times like this. Alto answered that perhaps they should keep the morale of the members up with rewards and such, and recruit even more skilled members. The leader shook his head. That kind of optimistic thinking is why he'll always be a porter. The guildmaster said that now is the time to tighten their resolve. The larger the scale, the more incompetent people sneak in, but incompetence can't survive in this guild. It seems they want to make this known throughout the guild, so they've decided to carry out a downsizing. Using the captain's authority, one person will be selected from each team and immediately removed, both from their party and from the guild itself. The leader walked towards Alto, tapping his shoulder. He's fired starting today. Seeing Alto's surprised expression, he clarified that that's the guild master's orders. Did he really think that he could stay in their S-rank party with no skill? It's true that he had no skill, but recently his magic level has improved. But the leader did not care and told him to shut up. After working as an adventurer for 3 years, he's still at beginner level. Alto agreed that he had no skill, but he's not completely useless. The leader sneered. Didn't he just say it himself earlier? That to help the guild grow, they need to maintain morale, right? But having someone useless like him around drags everyone's morale down. So, he should get out right now. Alto gritted his teeth before running away. One of the members of his party spoke up, worried whether it really was okay to make Alto leave since he also handles chores for other parties and supported everyone with buffs. The leader told him not to be ridiculous. Anyone can do chores, so there's no reason to keep a no-skill around. If they hired someone with real magical aptitude, the buffs would be way stronger. Or is he saying a no-skill is actually needed in their S-rank party? The member panicked and immediately apologized. The leader once again told everyone that the weak had no place in this guild, and they better remember that. Yeah, their guild is so effed. Alto came back to the inn he was staying at and plopped down on the bed, cursing. He picked up the necklace around his neck and looked at it, remembering Lily's words. That's right. He's going to become a knight. Does he really have time to sulk around? Is this really the moment to just sit here daydreaming? He sat up and slapped his face again and again. If he's got time to hesitate, then he might as well use it to move forward. Thanks to yesterday's simultaneous activation, he's got a powerful attack spell now as well, so he'll become a solo adventurer. Not many parties are willing to accept someone who's only worked as a porter, and wasting time searching would be pointless anyway. He got up and grabbed his shirt. It's still morning, so he'll take on a quest right now. Once he got to the guild he went to back then, he asked the receptionist if it would be possible for him to take on an E-rank subjugation quest. Up until now, he's only ever taken F-rank jobs, mostly monster exterminations that don't require any skills. The receptionist beamed, happy that he's challenging an E-rank quest, and recommended one. It's the Black Labyrinth that recently appeared on the outskirts of town. The dungeon itself is classified as B-rank, but its difficulty ranges from E to B. On the first floor, only E-rank monsters will appear. And as he goes deeper underground, the monsters become stronger, D, C, and eventually B rank, so she advises him to be careful. Alto happily took the quest and thanked her. Finally, his first solo quest. He's dying to see how far he can go with the strength he has now. Based on his experience from being in an S-rank party, he should be able to handle even D-rank monsters with simultaneous activation. Well, he's glad that it's the kind of quest where he can pull back depending on the situation. After handing Alto the quest sheet, a bag for drop items, and the current dungeon map, the receptionist reminded him to be careful before he left. Finally, Alto arrived before a huge cave. It's the Black Labyrinth, a maze-type dungeon. It's a recent discovery, so the map's incomplete, and it's swarming with monsters. In order to keep high-rank parties from getting worn out before they reach the dungeon boss, they clear out the low-tier monsters to make sure the high-rank party can get to the boss, because if there are too many mobs, they'll lose their stamina before facing the boss. That's why they need to clear the lower levels, and jobs like that get passed on to adventurers like them. Alto first buffed himself with body enhancement 16 times before entering the dungeon. It was huge, and the paths were so wide. While walking, he noticed a bunch of traps laid out inside, but with conditional branching, he can constantly detect them and get alerts, so it's reassuring. Just then, he heard noises coming from a goblin, an E-rank monster, perfect for beginners to practice against. This is just what he needed. He raised his hand and activated simultaneous activation of the fireball. However, it burned a magnificent amount of the walls and floors. Looks like he may have overdone it a little. Back at the guild, the leader of Alto's former party slammed the front desk, claiming that he didn't fail. There were just circumstances, and he simply couldn't finish within the time limit. That's all. However, the Black Labyrinth is B rank even at its deepest level, and it's not a particularly large dungeon, so that can't possibly be right. The leader trembled in anger. Is she implying that they're weak? He promised to conquer it tomorrow without fail, so there's no need for other parties to raid it. At that moment, Alto came back, and the receptionist waved at him and asked him to come over to the front desk. The leader turned to him. Well, if it isn't the talentless hack, is he actually taking on a quest? Alto ignored him and handed the quest form back to the receptionist. The leader sneered. Looks like he went in the Black Labyrinth too, and an E-rank monster subjugation no less. How perfectly suited for a good-for-nothing like him. The receptionist asked whether Alto was able to defeat the monsters. He brought out a bag of materials. Actually, it wasn't just the first floor. He showed her a magic stone, and informed her that he even managed to take down the boss, surprising both the receptionist and the leader of his former party. The receptionist took the magic stone and inspected it, confirming that it is definitely a Minotaur's magic stone. She can't believe that an F-ranker did this. Meanwhile, the leader caused a fuss, questioning what was going on. He's finding it hard to believe that the talentless Alto Wellesley defeated a B-rank boss. There's just no way that's possible. He gritted his teeth and grabbed Alto's collar, questioning what kind of despicable tricks he pulled. Alto assured him that he didn't resort to any dirty tricks, but the leader insisted that he was a liar, as if a talentless nobody like him could do anything. The receptionist immediately interfered and called the security to drag the leader out of the guild. One of the security grabbed him, while the other stood in between him and Alto. Though he tried to accuse Alto of cheating to the very last minute, he still got dragged outside. Once he was finally gone, the receptionist congratulated Alto for defeating the boss. Still looking towards the door, Alto awkwardly thanked her. By subjugating the boss, he fulfilled the necessary requirements. Therefore, the guild will now issue him a D-rank license. This means he can start taking on B-rank jobs. Honestly, she believed he possessed power equivalent to an A rank, but the guild regulations are what they are. Still, someone like him should rank up in no time. Alto clenched his fist in excitement and thanked her. He defeated the boss with his own power, and someone has truly acknowledged his abilities for the first time. It's slow, but he's definitely getting closer to becoming a knight. After that, Alto went back to training, firing fireballs towards the trees. He groaned in frustration after messing up again. It seems it's around the 7 of them where he starts to lose control. He's always made it a point to identify his weaknesses and areas for improvement to grow efficiently, but yesterday's solo quest brought a lot of new challenges to light. When attacked from multiple directions, instead of using simultaneous activation to boost power for a single strike, he can only defeat enemies in one direction per activation. He really needs to divide his focus and launch multiple attacks at once. After some practice, while 16 is still out of reach, he thinks he can manage to control the trajectory of 5 or 6 now. Yeah, this should do it. Suddenly, he remembered that it's almost time for the quest referral guild to open, so he went there and asked for a quest. The receptionist pulled out 3 quest forms of B-rank quests that can be completed solo. Alto pointed to the one in the middle and decided to take the dungeon quest in the Asil mines. That's a dungeon that's already been cleared though, but there are numerous monster remnants still lingering, so it's more of a subjugation quest. It's quite vast, so they'll issue him a 2-day subjugation permit, and he's free to keep any spoils of war he can collect. Alto took the quest form and thanked her. Up until now, no matter how many items he gathered using auto magic, everything was split among the entire party. But now that he can easily defeat B-rank bosses all by himself, he can keep every single item for himself. Alto turned around and bid farewell to the receptionist, who told him to take care, and cheered for fortune to favor his endeavors. Alto entered the Asil mines an hour later. It's colder than he expected. Good thing he brought a jacket. Since it's a mine, he'll be looking for magic stones, but he can't carry anything too large or heavy, so he should limit his search to rare items buried underground. Fortunately, he remembers reading about the names of rare magic stones in a book. Suddenly, he heard a roar from behind him. It's a troll, a B-rank monster. Its intelligence is remarkably low, but its durability and power are exceptionally high. Ordinary adventurers don't stand a chance. Additionally, it's known to be dangerous due to its high aggression. Hiding behind a wall, Alto activated a fireball multiplied to 8 that killed the troll in an instant. Nice! He took it down without much trouble. He was picking up the troll's magic stone when he received a notification that a Mayuseki was discovered. It's inside the wall. Alto shoveled the walls and finally found a rare Mayuseki. He wondered how much this would fetch. He was always the one sorting the loot, but the party leaders handled the cashing in, so he never really knew the values. Another notification popped up, informing him that Ryugen Seki was discovered. As he walked deeper, the notifications kept coming. Were B-rank dungeons always this much fun? Alto came back to the guild within the same day, which made the receptionist wonder if something had happened since his subjugation permit was for 2 days. Actually, he managed to collect far more items than he anticipated, so he was hoping to get today's haul appraised and exchanged for cash if possible. The receptionist was relieved that things seemed to be going smoothly, but when she saw Alto's huge backpack packed with materials, her mouth snapped open in shock. All of this is just from today? She began inspecting the orbs inside, recognizing them. These are all incredibly valuable items, and there's so many of them. Did he really do this all by himself? Alto scratched his cheek, looking away. Well, he's always been pretty good at solo exploration. The receptionist suggested that he should really consider joining a collection-focused guild. Once she appraised everything, they all came to 100 gold coins, shocking Alto. The receptionist claimed that in a B-rank dungeon teeming with powerful monsters, he'd normally need a team of at least 10 people to gather this quantity of materials. So just how strong is he to do this all by himself? Alto stuttered, explaining that he's just as surprised as she is. Then he took the 100 gold coins he earned. He's never been the type to spend more than necessary on daily life, and he never really had a strong desire to earn a lot of money. But there's the matter of the Knight Academy's entrance fee. He even used to always say that as long as he had something to eat, anything's fine. Spending money on clothes is just a waste because he knew many talented individuals have had to give up on their dreams because they couldn't pay that fee. Scholarship students like Lily are an exception, of course, but over 80% of the students attending the Knight Academy come from noble families. And naturally, Alto didn't possess that kind of wealth. He was originally planning to save up gradually through collection quests over a long period, but at this rate, he might actually be able to save it all up pretty quickly. I apologize for making fun of your only outfit. I won't bring it up again. Continue working hard. For his second day at the Acel mines, things are going exceptionally well again. His backpack's completely stuffed. Guess he'll head back around now. His experience points gain rate has also shot up several times over. Now, what should he do about quests from tomorrow onwards? While walking back, he suddenly heard a scream from down below. That was no ordinary scream, so he decided to go check it out. He ran through the forest, trying to find where it came from. However, he flinched after seeing a dragon, and noticed that there was someone underneath it. Alto activated a physical buff multiplied by 16 and lunged forward to get to where the girl was, dragging her away before the dragon could bite her. Alto cursed, wondering why there was a dragon in a place like this. Then he asked the girl if she was alright. The girl who was crying looked up at him, surprised that she was still alive. Their attention was caught when Maiku, the guy with her, from a few meters away, began groaning. Alto told her to go now if she can get away with him, and he'll try to handle the dragon somehow. The girl was about to protest, but Alto had already left. First things first, he'll draw the dragon's attention to him and lure it away from those two. While running, he shouted loud enough for the dragon to hear, saying that its opponent was him. The insides of the dragon's mouth began shining as it prepared an attack. Wait, is that the dragon breath? This is bad. He's still too close. Alto couldn't help but curse. Dragon breath has incredible power, but the shockwave of heat that spreads upon impact is insane. At this rate, those two from before will get caught up in it. He ran, stacking up the physical buff. Then he couched down before jumping up in the sky, calling out to the dragon. Rather than being attacked from the ground, maybe dispersing the heat wave in the air would be more effective. The dragon shot out its dragon breath towards Alto, who parried it using ice needles multiplied by 16. Both attacks collided in the sky and caused a massive explosion. Alto landed back on the ground. He did it. He managed to neutralize dragon breath. Next, he put up an ice wall multiplied by 16 as a protective barrier around the two. The girl was confused, but then realized that the dragon breath is a heat wave and wondered if Alto put up this magic as well. Alto walked around trying to find the dragon. Finally, he saw it squashed to the ground by giant blocks of ice. Looks like they somehow managed to win. However, he's never heard of a dragon appearing just an hour outside the city before. He was lucky enough to defeat it using water and ice magic. But an A-rank monster like that, even dungeon bosses rarely reach that level. But before anything else, he rushed back to check on the two. The girl turned to him, while Maiku, who was finally able to sit up, leaned back on a rock. The paralysis is still affecting him, so Alto, who had potions, handed one to him. For solo adventurers, status ailments are the most terrifying, so he always comes prepared. He helped Maiku drink the potion, and Maiku thanked Alto for saving him. With teary eyes, the girl also thanked Alto. For a moment, she really thought things were going to go badly. As Alto assured her that it's all right, Maiku suddenly stood up and bowed towards the girl, apologizing for failing in his duty as her guard. She asked him to lift his head, assuring him that it wasn't his fault since no one could have predicted they'd encounter a dragon in a place like this, nor could anyone have foreseen one of their escorts betraying them. Maiku, with a grim expression, was about to protest, but she cut him off and diverted the attention to Alto instead, who fortunately came to their aid. Once again, she thanked him for saving them. He truly was a lifesaver. Alto backed up, embarrassed, and claimed that there was no need for that. The girl introduced herself as Charlotte, and hoped that they'll become well acquainted. Alto was too focused on the dragon to notice before, but every movement she makes is so graceful, like a doll. He also introduced himself, though his mind was in chaos. Did she say her name was Charlotte? It feels like he's heard that name before. Charlotte excused herself as she must hurry back to the city now. She'd like to properly thank him later, so she asked for his guild affiliation. Alto told her that there was no need for thanks, and that he's just a humble adventurer working freelance. However, she insisted on knowing the name of the guild he usually uses. Alto had no choice but to tell her that he usually takes quests through White Lancers, the guild that introduces requests. Maiku knew that one. But they really should get away from here quickly. Charlotte agreed before bowing to Alto again and thanking him for the third time. She will definitely repay this kindness. Maiku nodded his head towards him and apologized for the trouble before taking their leave. Meanwhile, Alto just waved his hands at them to bid farewell. A few days later at the Quest Introduction Guild, the White Lancers, Alto stood by the front desk asking for a quest when that goblin-looking leader from before bumped into him. He was annoyed to see Alto again. Just seeing him pisses him off. Thanks to him, he's stuck doing warehouse organization. Looks like the workload piled up due to the shortage of staff handling the tasks Alto used to do. Serves him right. The leader turned to the receptionist and asked for the most difficult quest available right now, to which she replied that it was probably a B-rank dungeon expedition. But that's not good enough. He needs to accomplish something big immediately. Is there no A-rank quest? After failing multiple quests in the past few days, his reputation with the guildmaster has plummeted, so he needs to do something big to make up for that. However, there aren't any A-rank quests at the moment, making him slam the desk hard. It seems he has to look elsewhere. The receptionist frowned, wondering how he can still talk so big after failing even a B-rank quest. At that moment, she flinched after noticing a man with glasses behind the leader of Alto's former party, and immediately bowed to welcome him. He stepped forward. He's come today to assign a mission to a certain man. Alto noticed the emblem on the man's chest, realizing that this person must be a court official. The official wanted to assign a high-difficulty quest to assess whether this person is fit for the Knight Selection Exam. The Knight Selection Exam is usually only open to those enrolled in the Royal Knight Academy. However, through special exemptions, outsiders may take the exam if they receive a recommendation from the court of other authorities, and the court assigns high-difficulty quests to promising candidates to evaluate their capabilities. Alto has heard rumors about this, but to think it actually exists, how enviable. Meanwhile, this delusional leader thought that his achievements had reached the court, and that this was the perfect chance to restore his reputation. However, his fantasy was ruined when the man started that the name of the person he was looking for was Alto. They were all so confused, even Alto pointed to himself in surprise. The leader quickly got in between them and asked whether he was talking about this Alto behind him. The official ignored him and immediately turned to Alto after finding out that he's the one he came here for. Well, he did match the description he was given perfectly, so there's no mistake. The leader called out for the official's attention and claimed that Alto was a skillless good-for-nothing. Instead, he should take a look at him. Doesn't he know his name? He's Eraso, considered as the man closest to becoming a royal knight. Nah, you just made that up. The official turned to him and claimed he'd never heard of him. Then he turned back to Alto. Regardless, the princess has expressed her wish for him to become a knight and asked if he'll accept. Alto was stunned. So, if he completes this quest, he'll be able to take the Knight Selection Exam? The official answered affirmatively. The difficulty is high, but if he succeeds, he'll earn the right to challenge the Royal Guard selection exam alongside third-year Knight Academy students. In that case, Alto agreed to take that quest. Once again, this piece of Dungaraso interrupted them, claiming that he's the one truly worthy of being a knight instead of this completely skillless Alto. There must be some kind of mistake. The official crossed his arms, questioning whether he was prepared to challenge the princess's decision. If so, he'd better have the resolve to back it up. Eraso responded that he did. He even swore upon his past, leading an S-rank party. The court official thought about it. It is unprecedented for the court to recommend a completely unknown individual. Naturally, the princess anticipated opposition. In that case, aside from the quest, Alto will need to prove his ability through a test, or a public duel before an audience. That is the plan. Alto understood. That would make it harder to oppose and easier for many to accept. On the other hand, if Eraso is recognized through this duel, then a recommendation for the selection exam may be possible. Eraso deeply appreciates this honorable opportunity. Actually, let's just skip that. The court official turned to Alto, asking if that was acceptable, to which Alto agreed with. The developments are happening so fast that he can barely keep up. But this is an opportunity. No matter the conditions, he will clear them. That being said, the duel between the two will take place tomorrow at the Royal Palace's dueling grounds. The princess will likely be present as well, so they should make sure not to be late under any circumstances. At the knight's headquarters, a man gathered everyone and announced that a request for security duties had been issued due to the sudden decision to hold a public duel. The knight selection exam garners significant public attention. Moreover, rumors about the unknown adventurer have already spread widely. The large crowd increases the likelihood of dangerous individuals blending in, so they must prepare for any potential disturbances and ensure absolute security. This mission is critically important, both for the safety of the citizens and the princess. Therefore, he commanded them to review the assigned positions outlined in the distributed documents and direct any questions to their respective squad leaders by the end of the day. He reminded them to remain vigilant and act with diligence before dismissing them. Lily walked back, reading the distributed document regarding the royal recommendation for the knight selection exam and the associated public duel. She realized how incredible Alto really is. She thought she was already ahead at the starting line, but right now, she doesn't have the strength to defeat an A-rank monster on her own. She has to become stronger too, so that she can stand alongside him. Finally, the day of the public duel has come. The host thanked the audience for waiting. At long last, it's time for today's main event. The introduction of the Knight Selection Examination candidate and their opponent. First, he'll tell them about the candidate, Alto Wellesley. At the same time, Alto sat on a bench in the waiting room, with the official standing beside him to tell him that he's truly looking forward to witnessing his renowned skills today. Alto gave him a short reply and continued to think deeply. The outcome of this duel will drastically change the course of his life. This is different from before. If he can just unleash the results of his training, then he absolutely cannot lose. At that moment, the door slammed open and Eraso entered, picking a fight with Alto the moment he walked in. Behind him is the guild master, to which Eraso arrogantly boasted that he'll become a knight, and would elevate the guild's reputation without fail. The potato noticed Alto and looked down on him, claiming he'll be too easy to beat. Eraso agreed. He was sure that it'll be over in an instant. Then, the two burst out laughing. It seems everyone in their guild is just a bunch of bastards. Alto just stayed quiet, so the official cleared his throat and explained the rules to him. The victor is the one who breaks their opponent's barrier and inflicts even the slightest amount of damage. No further attacks beyond that will be permitted. Knights are also stationed within the arena, so minor injuries can be healed with recovery magic. Therefore, as long as he stays within the bounds of the rules, there's no need to hold back. He is free to demonstrate his full capabilities. That is all. Then, he escorted them out to the arena. The host announced their arrival and the commencement of the public duel concerning the court recommendation for the knight selection examination, and the objection raised thereto. The man in between them introduced himself as Bats, the knight who will be serving as referee. He asked if they understood the rules, and when they responded that they did, he announced the beginning of the duel. Eraso pointed to Alto, claiming that he'll finish him in a single blow. He used Dragon Breath, a high-level skill right off the bat, but Alto just experienced the real Dragon Breath firsthand. Alto activated a fireball, which made Eraso laugh. Did he think he could beat him with such a beginner-level skill? But the audience thought otherwise. They were shocked to see the monstrous size of Alto's fireball. Alto released his attack at the same Eraso released his, and both attacks collided. However, Alto's fireball overpowered Eraso's Dragon Breath and landed on him, causing him to fly backwards, hitting his potato guild master. Everyone watched with wide eyes before cheering as Bats announced Alto as the winner. Well, that was anticlimactic. Alto didn't even sweat. Meanwhile, Eraso couldn't believe he lost to Alto, who was a talentless, no-skill nobody. The official shook Alto's hand, praising his strength. He is indeed worthy of being a knight. Alto was thanking him when a voice suddenly called out to him from behind. He recognized that voice. That was Charlotte, the person he saved the other day. Again, she thanked him for his help the other day. After making her presence known, Bats and the official bowed their heads to greet her, shocking Alto. He didn't know that she was a princess. He knew that name was familiar. Charlotte bowed, apologizing for her delayed introduction. She is Charlotte, Princess of the Kingdom of Lawrence. Had it not been for him, she would surely be dead by now, so she's truly grateful. The guild master questioned Eraso as to what the meaning of this was. However, he had no idea either. Charlotte was happy that she had the honor of witnessing his skills once again. He truly possesses the strength befitting a knight. Their royal family would very much like to recommend him for the knight selection examination at the Royal Knight Academy. However, to prove that he is indeed worthy of this recommendation, he will need to complete a quest for them, because even the royal family cannot simply issue recommendations to anyone. But of course, they will also provide a reward for the quest's completion. When asked if he will accept, Alto answered that he will without any hesitation. Charlotte tapped his shoulder in encouragement. In that case, they will contact him formally at a later date. She sincerely hopes that he will become a knight, and told him that she had high expectations for him. Alto thanked her, excitement evident in his expression. Meanwhile, the guildmaster scolded Eraso for losing to a good-for-nothing like Alto. Because of that, he's been utterly humiliated as well. Eraso apologized, but that didn't calm the angry potato down. Thanks to him, their guild's prestige has been dragged through the mud. First, he failed to conquer a B-rank dungeon, and now, he incurred the royal family's displeasure. Ordinarily, he'd fire him on the spot for this. However, if things continue like this, it won't just be his adventuring career on the line, but the very survival of their guild will be in jeopardy. That is something that he absolutely cannot allow to happen. Therefore, he will give him one last chance. He is to arrange it so that talentless fool Alto makes a blunder. The princess may have spoken highly of him, but there's no way a no-skill like him is capable of such feats. So it's only logical to assume some sort of foul play. If they can just prove that he truly is incompetent, then they can demonstrate that their claims were correct all along. The dumb goblin agreed, as expected of the guildmaster. However, he must remember that failures absolutely will not be tolerated. Eraso agreed and promised to definitely expose Alto for the fraud that he is. The next day, Eraso, along with his party members, went to the rumored cave where an S-rank boss is sealed away. He assured them not to worry, as they won't need to actually defeat monsters. Though, as an S-rank party, they might eventually take down the boss here anyway. But today, they're just here for a little reconnaissance. The members nervously looked at each other, afraid of what might happen. Eraso paid a hefty sum to a court official to find out which quest Alto would be undertaking. He was sure that no matter what tricks Alto pulls, he won't be able to defeat an S-rank boss. If things go well, he might even be able to dispose of that nuisance. He's determined to absolutely make Alto fail. 4 hours later, they finally arrived where the S-rank boss was sealed. Eraso's whole body was tingling due to the sinister aura, but he already used so many high-grade potions just to get this far, so this is no time to be getting cold feet. He ordered one of his members to unseal the boss by taking off the talismans. However, he was too scared to do it. Eraso told him to stop whining, and that there would be no problem if they just ran immediately after removing the talismans. The member still refused, however. Eraso threatened to fire him, so he ended up agreeing anyway. He took the talismans off, and an enormous energy rushed through them, so they immediately ran away, with Eraso calling out to the frozen member who took the talismans off. He snickered. With this, Alto's finished. After snapping out of it, the member quickly ran after them. Several days later, the official introduced 2 knights to Alto. They'll be accompanying him on the quest and assess his performance. Alto greeted them before reading about the quest presented by the royal family. It's a mine-type dungeon, and a high-difficulty one at that. Most of the monsters encountered en route are B rank or higher, and the boss is S-class. Moreover, it has quite a reputation. In the past, adventurers attempted to conquer this dungeon's boss, but due to the boss's formidable life force, the battle became a prolonged one. Deeming it impossible to defeat, they somehow managed to seal the boss away. Since there has been no actual harm reported since then, it's been left as is for many years. Seeing Alto's worried expression, the official assured him not to worry because this time, the mission isn't to subjugate the boss, but to retrieve a treasure chest located in the boss room. 2 knights will be accompanying him on the mission, and besides, it's sealed, so he won't even encounter the boss. Before entering the dungeon, Alto checked if he had enough stock of potions and whether the auto-magic setting was okay. Confirming that they are, he slapped his cheeks. All right, he's doing this. He stood before the dungeon, with the knights behind him. It doesn't matter whether the knight selection examination had this high difficulty test, a dungeon with an infamous sealed boss, he will absolutely clear his quest. Even with Eraso's interjection, Alto was able to clear the quest without any mishaps, and the knights found his detection ability amazing, though they got a little nervous when the S-rank warning went off. One of the 2 knights, the black-haired one, didn't expect it to go this smoothly. Looks like he must work harder himself. Alto thanked them, before deciding to head back. When Alto got back, he plopped on his bed with an exhausted sigh. That bed positioning is diabolical. Anyway, he's glad that the quest assigned by the royal family was a success without any issues. The 2 knights who accompanied him were also happy that they cleared the quest, and even recognized his strength. Then, his childhood friend, Lily, came to mind. She's already at the Royal Knight Academy, honing her skills with high-level teammates and getting stronger. It's been 3 years since he was branded as someone with no magic affinity, and had the no-skill label. But through steady efforts and collecting experience points even while he was literally sleeping, he earned the right to challenge the selection at the Knight Academy as a result. If he passes the selection exam, it looks like he might just catch up. Even someone like him, who was looked down on as no skill, can still become a knight. He needs to work even harder for the exam. He'll cast auto magic and get some food in the meantime. When he got out of the inn he was staying at, the chaos in town reached his ears. A villager shouted that the boss came down from the mines and told everyone to run. Everyone who heard panicked and ran away. Alto's expression was grim. Could it be the one mentioned in the quest warning? Did it come out because he stirred things up in the dungeon? If that's the case, this is the worst possible scenario. He ran towards the monster's location, with a villager warning him that that's the direction where the boss is. Alto ignored him and continued running. The mine-type dungeon he went to is straight down this road and is not that far from the city. He's got to deal with the boss as far from here as possible. When he finally saw the monster, his eyes widened in shock. It's a dragon zombie. Some adventurers were already dealing with it, however, the dragon zombie would regenerate in seconds. The adventurer in front, holding a sword, realized that their attacks weren't doing a thing. No matter how much they attack, it just keeps regenerating. What are they supposed to do? The archer beside him complained how even with all these high-ranking adventurers, it still isn't enough to take the dragon zombie down. It's slow, but it's steadily moving forward. At this rate, it's going to reach the city. There are still so many people in the city, so Alto fired a fireball multiplied by 16. It hit the dragon zombie's head, cutting it off. Alto thought that should do it. However, it quickly regenerated its head and attacked him. He dodged to the side, cursing. It's healing way too fast. Just then, one of the adventurers announced that the commander of the royal guards had arrived. The commander observed the situation. It's obviously the worst. The swordsman from earlier reported that their attacks aren't working at all. That's because that's one of the defining traits of a dragon zombie. It's what makes it an S-rank threat. According to scholars, its body contains 7 cores, and they all have to be destroyed at the same time, the swordsman exclaimed in shock. That's impossible. Alto thought that it's going to be tough. With just 2 magic circuits, one can only use 1 barrier and 1 attack spell at once. But if they have 4 circuits, they can deploy a barrier and fire off 3 attacks simultaneously. And this dragon zombie had 7 cores. If there was someone like Lily who has 7 magic circuits, it might be possible. But for most people, 6 circuits is the standard. Plus, to target and destroy 7 cores inside a constantly moving body, they'd need to cooperate and unleash skills together. But everyone has different chance speeds and attack speeds, so hitting all 7 cores at exactly the same time is almost impossible. However, the commander claimed they still had to try, so he asked them to work together and tell him how many magic circuits they have. The swordsman raised his hand. Among them, he had the most. In that case, he and the commander will destroy the cores at the same time. The commander knows the locations of the cores with his identification skill. It's in the head, neck, solar plexus, left shoulder, right wing, and left wing. He has 5 magic circuits, so he'll attack 5 locations, while the swordsman will attack the other 2, the right shoulder and the base of the right wing. The swordsman understood, and the 2 prepared to fight, chanting their spells. They both released their spells, hitting the spots where the dragon zombie's cores were. Alto kept one of his eyes open to check out the situation since the attacks seemed simultaneous. He can't believe it. Even though they're a makeshift pair, they're in sync so well, as expected of a knight and a high-rank adventurer. However, the dragon zombie survived. It's no good. They haven't destroyed the core yet. The thickness of its flesh and skin are different, so even if they hit simultaneously, it's not working. The swordsman cursed, wondering whether they had to break through the outer layer to expose the core. Though, even if they expose it, it regenerates right away. They have to land 7 attacks at once, expose the core, and then land another 7 simultaneous attacks. But something like that is too hard to pull off. The commander gritted his teeth. He knew that, but they had no choice but to do it. He asked everyone to help him, to which they agreed. The adventurers attacked with each of their own spells and weapons at the same time, and once the 7 cores were visible, the commander and the swordsman struck the cores again. The swordsman cheered, thinking the cores were destroyed. However, the commander realized that they weren't able to destroy all of it, and the dragon zombie ended up regenerating again. This is bad. The more people involved, the harder it is to synchronize the timing. The commander raised his sword and told everyone that they'll keep doing it no matter how many times it takes. After a while of fighting, the dragon zombie already reached the city gates, but they are still unable to take it down. Alto, who was quietly watching, realized that they're starting to run out of mana and there is a significant drop in their accuracy since they used high-level skills dozens of times. The commander looked visibly stressed as he wondered what they should do. At that moment, Alto volunteered to do it. The commander asked who he was and if he had multiple magic circuits. Alto responded that he only had 1. Only 1. Then he's not even worth considering. Alto countered that he can fire 7 skills at the same time and begged the commander to let him try even just once. The commander thought about it. It's hard to believe that a no skill with only 1 magic circuit could be of any use, but he's out of options at this point, so he decided to give it a try. They'll tear through its flesh and expose the cores, and Alto will destroy all 7 cores at once. For the nth time, the commander released his attack spell, along with the other adventurers, to expose the dragon zombie's cores. Once all 7 were out, Alto begged his auto magic to work before activating 7 fireballs. The others were surprised that he really was able to fire 7 shots at once. Alto was determined to land them all at the same time, firing 7 fireballs at once, and of course, the target just won't stop moving. It's now time to prove all that non-stop trajectory control training wasn't for nothing. He can't afford to mess this up. The dragon zombie tried to grab Alto. However, the commander cut off its hand before it could reach him. He turned to Alto, amazed by his focus. He was about to be crushed, but he didn't even flinch. Alto glared, releasing the fireballs and hitting all the cores on the dragon zombie's body. After the cores in its body shattered, they caused a massive explosion, killing the boss monster. They did it. They took down the dragon zombie. The commander couldn't believe that Alto actually pulled that off. Even the adventurers have never seen anyone fire off 7 skills at once like that, and the accuracy was insane too. They wouldn't have stood a chance without Alto, so the commander thanked him for his help and asked for his name. Alto told them his name, which the swordsman thought sounded familiar. The archer pointed to him. He knew Alto. He's the one who finished that duel in a flash. The commander had heard rumors about him, but seeing that godlike feat with his own 2 eyes made him certain that he's more than worthy of a knight's title. Even most knights can't fire off 7 spells at once. The blushing Alto thanked him. Truth is, he can launch 16 at once, but he decided to keep that to himself. The adventurers cheered for him, claiming that a hero was born in this city. Thanks to him, they survived. At the same time in the royal castle, a servant reported to Charlotte that Alto had successfully completed his mission, and on top of that, he took down a sealed S-rank boss. According to the knights who were on the mission with him, his strength, courage, focus, and teamwork were outstanding. He's someone they'd love to have as a fellow knight. As expected, they absolutely must make Alto a knight, to which the servant agreed. But there was one more thing. The boss that was defeated had been sealed permanently, but there are clear signs that the seal was broken by someone. According to the knights who accompanied Alto, none of them ever entered the sealed boss chamber, which means the barrier was forcefully breached. The real culprit and the evidence should surface soon. Just as Charlotte suspected, they found it immediately. The man named Eriso, who previously challenged Alto, was behind it. It seems like it's a grudge, just as expected. They've already contacted the royal guards, and he's been sentenced to 20 years of hard labor in the mines. At a pub in the city, Eraso was there, drinking with his party, when 2 guards suddenly entered to arrest him for unsealing an S-rank boss and endangering the city. Eraso denied the accusation, but the guards had all the evidence, so there's no point in resisting. Eraso is now erased. Sorry, that was corny. Back at the royal castle, the servant added that they've also arrested the master of Eraso's guild. Both of them have a list of additional charges, like bribery and abuse of subordinates, so their sentences will likely be heavier. Charlotte was relieved that potential threats to Alto have been removed, to which the servant completely agreed with. Just then, a knight entered to inform them that Alto had arrived. When he entered, Charlotte greeted and thanked him for protecting the city from the rampaging boss. She heard that he took down an enemy that even knights couldn't defeat with a single blow. That means his strength already surpasses that of a knight. Alto denied and claimed that he only succeeded because he had everyone's support. Charlotte was happy to inform that because of his achievement in completing the quest and saving the city, he is now officially approved to take the knight selection exam. She believes that there will be no problem at all, and she hopes that once he becomes a knight, he'll lend his strength under her command. Though she expects him to pass with excellent results, she still wished him luck. It truly was an honor beyond words, so Alto promised to do his best to live up to her expectations. A few days later, Alto arrived at the Royal Knight Academy. The knight selection exam lasts for 1 month. During that time, he will be treated the same as the academy students. Between exams, he will also learn the qualities needed to become a knight, other than practical skills, through the lessons held. Looks like he'll be living in the academy dorm during the exam period. He was sure that the top elites from across the country are all competing here. If he can't surpass them, then he won't become a knight. Well, he'll just do what he can, calmly and efficiently, like always. Finally, Alto reached the location the orientation's being held, where a staff member informed them that the orientation officer will be arriving shortly and asked them to wait a little longer. Alto glanced around. Everyone here was a rival. Just because one's enrolled in the Royal Knight Academy doesn't mean they're guaranteed to become a knight. The knight selection exam is held only once, midway through the 3rd year, and he's heard that graduating from the academy alone is enough to land a good job. But if they fail, they'll carry the shame of not becoming a knight for the rest of their lives. If things had gone normally, Lily, who transferred in partway through the term, would have already graduated and become a knight by now. He thought it was absolutely impossible, but somehow he's caught up to her, just a year behind, and now he's taking the same exam. Guess if one doesn't give up on life, chances will eventually come their way. His moment was interrupted when Bon Bon, the heir of the Bon Count family, called out to him and introduced himself. Nah, I already know his parents don't love him based on his name alone, because what do you mean you'll name your child Bon Bon? Alto also introduced himself, which helped Bon recognize him. He's that spoiled brat everyone's talking about. Alto, to say the least, was utterly speechless as he listened to Bon wonder what kind of dirty tricks someone like him used to get that recommendation. Don't tell me he's Ariso 2.0. Seriously, guys like this are exhausting to deal with, and the best move is to just brush them off. Alto's survival instincts honed in the Black Guild tells him that. Bon used his appraisal skill to check his magic aptitude without even asking. It's technically possible to assess someone's magical aptitude with a mid-tier appraisal spell, but that's considered pretty rude. Bon burst out laughing upon seeing that his magic circuits were only 1. That was so pathetic. 1 barrier spell and he's done for. How is he even supposed to attack with that? A knight is someone exceptional like him. He'll demonstrate, so he should watch and learn. Bon walked over to the targets and fired 5 fireballs, hitting 5 targets. His underlings cheered for him, boosting his ego. Then, he turned to Alto, stating that that was the true power of someone worthy of being a knight. Someone like him, who can barely maintain a single barrier, could never handle the role. Seeing Alto just stare at him, he scoffed and assumed that he's stunned by his amazing magic. The truth is, Alto was thinking about how pathetic Bon was for bragging over hitting a target with just 5 fireballs. He thought Charlotte was just being polite, but maybe he actually has a chance with his current strength. Bon suddenly pushed him, asking what he was smiling about, and to prove he's not just some privileged hack, Alto asked if all he needed to do was to hit the target, and Bon mocked him, urging him to do it if he could. Alto activated 16 fireballs and launched them all, hitting the targets perfectly. The others could not believe it. 16 at once should be impossible. Bon questioned what tricks he used, but Alto claimed to not have used any tricks. Bon refused to believe him, and claimed that there was no way he could do that without cheating. Alto just responded nonchalantly, well, if he had to say, his unique skill might indeed be kind of a cheat. Bon angrily cursed at Alto when the door suddenly opened, making all of them freeze. A knight entered, scolding them for being noisy, and asked what was going on. He is Arthur, the knight captain and also the examiner for this season's selection process. Alto listened to the other students whisper about Arthur being called the Ogre King, who became the youngest captain in history. Looks like he's pretty famous. Arthur explained about the exam. There are 3 rounds: solo battle, dungeon battle, and team battle. He'll hand out emblems to those he believes meet the standard. There are 3 emblems in total: the emblem of effort, the emblem of adaptability, and the emblem of teamwork. Those who collect all 3 earn the right to become knights. That's what passing the exam means. Basically, they just need to get 1 emblem from each of the 3 rounds. But if their skills are truly recognized in a certain round, it's possible to earn more than 1 emblem at once. That's just how the system is set up. Just one warning though. Every year, there are always people who think they can slack off until the last round and try to snatch all 3 emblems at once. But those with such naive thinking will never earn any emblems at all. If they can't give it their all in the first test, then they're better off without an emblem. Alto listened nervously. To think that they have to be acknowledged by someone who's considered one of the top elites among knights. This is going to be a tough exam. Arthur announced that the exam will be held 1 week from today. For the solo battle, they'll be fighting each other, and the matchups will be announced on the day of the test. That's all for today, and they're all dismissed. 1 week later, the solo battle is finally taking place at the arena. Up until today, Alto has been constantly training with auto magic, and on top of that, the lessons let him ask professionals directly, which is way more efficient than self-study. I almost forgot he's our cost-efficient king. Additionally, he could use the training grounds freely during his spare time, so he was able to do more practical training than just isolating himself in the forest. His fire magic level even went up for the first time in a while, so he's heading into this in top form. He was snapped back to reality when he heard someone call out to him. When he turned his head to look at who it was, he saw Lily running towards him. It's been so long since they last saw each other. Alto beamed when he saw her before telling her that he really became a knight. Lily congratulated him for finally making it this far. Well, a lot did happen, but he ended up getting a recommendation from the princess. Lily complimented his skills and cheered for him. Once she left, Bon approached to tell him that they're matched up for today's duel. He hopes Alto gives it his best out there to prove that he's not some kind of cheat. Well, not that he, the heir of House Bon, would ever lose, even by accident. Alto was wondering where his confidence came from when a Baldy entered the waiting room. He is Duke Wilo, Minister of the Royal Court. Bon beamed in excitement once he learned that the Duke came to see him. Well, he's his father's superior, after all. The Duke tapped his shoulder. His father's a capable man, so he expects great things from Bon as his son. Once the Duke left, Bon was blushing from the excitement, before turning to Alto to boast. With the Duke's expectations on his shoulders, he's far closer to being a knight than he is. At that moment, another person entered the waiting room. It's Charlotte's father, the King of the Kingdom of Lawrence. He told them not to mind him and to just relax however they like. Bon's jaw was on the floor, while Alto wondered what the king was doing here of all places. Bon rushed to bow to the king, pushing Alto aside. However, the king ignored him and walked towards Alto, not even letting him finish his sentence. He's heard about him from his daughter and has been looking forward to seeing how he fights. As Alto exclaimed in confusion, he noticed Charlotte waving from the back. Then, he stutteringly assured the king that he'll do his best. Satisfied with his words, the king waved goodbye, apologizing for interrupting before his exam. Charlotte also waved her hand, wishing him luck. Everyone was stunned even after the two had left. Even Bon, who was just boasting earlier, was wondering why the king and princess are showing favor to a cheater like Alto. His tantrums were paused when Arthur entered, asking if everyone had gathered. They'll now move to the arena, so they should follow him. Bon was trembling in anger when he walked out of the waiting room. So what if Alto's taking the knight selection exam through royal recommendation and getting personal attention from the king? He was sure that he must have used some kind of cheap trick. His underling claimed that noblemen like them can't let that slide and needed to properly put him in his place. Bon agreed. He'll be the one to educate him. Arthur told everyone to wait over there and step up to the battle platform when their name is called. Then he announced the beginning of the individual matches for the selection exam. Whoever lands the first clean hit wins. The first match is between Alto and Bon, who he asked to step forward. Once they're in the platform, Bon pointed to him. He may have wowed everyone with that cheating stunt last time, but it won't work in real combat and he'll crush him in seconds. And so, the match began. Bon summoned a blizzard launcher, and Alto activated 16 Fire Lance, which made Bon scoff. What a fool. Did he think that a mid-tier spell can beat his advanced one? But to his surprise, there's not only one Fire Lance, but 16 of them. Bon mistook it for the spell. Fire Lance Rain, an ultimate tier spell. Well, Fire Lance Rain does look like countless Fire Lances raining down. Bon cursed in frustration, releasing his spell, so Alto parried them with his Fire Lance, causing Bon's attacks to shatter. Alto's remaining Fire Lances aimed for Bon, causing an explosion that pushed him off the platform. Bon and the other students could not believe that he got one-shotted. After all, he's one of the top students in the entire grade. Bon stood back up, claiming that it was another trick. However, Arthur cut him off. Cheating or not, on the battlefield, the one left standing is the winner. Therefore, the winner for this match is Alto. Arthur handed Alto an emblem for effort for passing, which Alto gratefully took. Next up, Arthur called for Mia Knightley and Gregory Burns. Walking back to his position, Alto wondered if this was going to be okay. It's like a small animal versus a wild beast. Once the match began, Gregory fired off sand shots, and Mia blocked it off with an ice wall. However, it didn't seem too strong as it started to crumble after receiving the attacks. Gregory followed up his attack by throwing a stone hammer, which finally broke Mia's ice wall. Then he fired off another batch of sand shots, pushing Mia off the platform. Arthur announced Gregory as the winner and earned a cheer from the audience. Alto observed that Gregory's casting was faster and more accurate than Mia's, while the other students around him laughed, wishing that they got matched up with her instead since she's always slow. Alto watched Mia get up, clutching her arm and walking back to her position. Once the match ended, Arthur commended everyone for their hard work and informed them that the second exam will be in 2 weeks. Further details will be announced later. That's all for today, and they're dismissed. Alto watched one of the students cry, with his friends comforting him. Less than a third even earned the emblem. If this keeps up, barely anyone will become a knight. The second exam is dungeon exploration, which he should have more experience in than the night school students. However, dungeons are always full of the unexpected, so it's better to be fully prepared. Guess he'll head to the training grounds. Entering the training grounds, Alto expected it to practically be empty since the exam just ended, but he was greeted by Mia, training with 2 other students laughing at her. They were making fun of her for continuing to practice even though she failed. She's dead last in the rankings anyway, so why waste time training? Is it because she's too dumb to understand her situation? She should really know her place. Alto approached them and questioned which one of them should really be embarrassed. They're the ones mocking someone who's giving it their all, and that goes against everything a knight stands for. Even though the exam just ended, she's the first one back to training. So, who should really be ashamed here? It's been 3 years since the aptitude ceremony, and he's heard the same kind of things these guys are saying, but she keeps training without breaking down. He knows just how hard that is, and how amazing it is to never give up. The 2 tried to intimidate him, but when they realized he's the one who took down Bon with a single hit, they immediately backed off and walked away. Alto did expect this kind of discrimination with all the nobles around, but is this school even okay? Mia thanked Alto and introduced herself. Alto waved his hand without looking back. It's not really something worth thanking him for. Seeing that he was about to leave, Mia called out to him again, saying that she saw his match today. She complimented his magic and asked how she could be strong like him. Well, he'd have to see what she's capable of first, so he asked if she had a magic type she specializes in, and Mia responded that the highest level thing she had is a unique skill. Alto asked her to show him, which Mia agreed with, and asked him to float a flame for her. Once he did, she launched a dispel shot from her fingertip, making Alto's magic disappear. Amazing. It disappeared without a trace. He's read a lot of books about unique skills, but he's never heard of anything like this. It's called Magic Resolver, where a small bullet pierces the magic core of the skill and nullifies it. It was a great skill, but Mia can't control it, and just got lucky this time. It seems like the waves of magical power between the skills are interfering with each other. On a bad day, even if she shoots 100 times, she might not hit her target. Alto thought about it. Even if she can increase the skill level, whether she can handle it well or not is a different matter. They have to practice using some cost-effective methods. A light bulb appeared above his head after thinking of something. Right, she can use him as a practice dummy. He also had a hard time controlling multiple skills at the same time, and he thinks they'll only get the real feel for it if they actually try clashing magic themselves. As for his unique skill, it continues to activate unconsciously and shoots with the same power and trajectory every time. It's perfect for practice, isn't it? Mia agreed. She thinks she can get a hang of it if she practices this way. She bowed, thanking him, before they started training. Alto activated a bunch of fireballs, and Mia tried to make it disappear using a dispel shot, but she missed it. Alto encouraged her to keep going, so she did. 30 minutes later, Mia slumped to the floor, panting. She used up her magic and apologized for taking up so much of his time. It's not like that since it was training for him too, so it's okay. Mia took the hand Alto offered and stood back up, asking if he still had a lot of mana left. He did. In the beginning, his skills were lesser compared to others, but he worked hard. And magic power has nothing to do with magical aptitude anyway. Mia clenched her fist and asked him to take her as his disciple, as she also wants to be as strong as him. At school, she was always last and clumsy. She even failed this test as well. But for someone like her, she wants to make an effort to become like him, and become a person who has confidence in their own abilities. Mia's situation is similar to Alto's, so he understands her struggles. He didn't think he had anything to teach her, but if she's okay with it, he'd take her up on her offer. Mia cheered and thanked him. Although she can't give him much in return, she can provide information about the school and help him with daily chores. Now that she says it, Alto certainly knows nothing about the school, so it would be helpful if she could tell him. 2 weeks later at the test venue dungeon, Arthur stood before the dungeon entrance with 4 other students behind him. The dungeon test will continue over the next few days, and the goal is to clear the dungeon with a group of 5 people per day. For this day, Alto was the first one to explore the dungeon. Mia wondered whether Alto will be okay, while Bon snickered, wondering how long it will take for him to drop out. Meanwhile, Alto calmly walked inside the dungeon. It's been a while since he last visited a dungeon, but it's still fun. Today, it was this dungeon since the dungeon location actually changes depending on the day. Well, of course, if it were the same place, someone could make a map and cheat. By the way, his body feels somewhat heavy. Is his skills weakening? Right. Arthur did tell them that the second test involves clearing the dungeon. Knights are engaged in a variety of missions, including guarding and taking on dungeons. And the purpose of this dungeon exploration is to see their response capabilities. Alto just thought that there was a debuff in the dungeon. High-ranking monsters in test dungeons pose a high risk to the management. In that case, it makes sense to look at the ability to respond based on debuffs. This time too, he's constantly observing traps and enemies with auto magic. It's helpful that it's going smoothly. Finally, he found the stairs. It should be the 10th floor, so he set his search target to the rarest thing since the treasure on the final floor is probably the rarest. It was immediately detected by the system and showed it through a map, which Alto followed. Looks like he can clear the dungeon pretty quickly if he keeps going at this pace. After a while, he came out of the dungeon and showed the item to Arthur. He not only completed the quest and returned safely, but it seems like he also has plenty of stamina. Arthur was checking it with a surstol that allows farsightedness. His route selection, speed of attack, everything was perfect. Therefore, he passes and gets another emblem. As Alto was thanking him, Bon interjected into their conversation and claimed that Alto definitely cheated. Alto responded that he didn't do anything as such, but Bon insisted that he definitely did because there was no way he could have cleared this dungeon without any skills. He remembered Baldy scolding his father for his loss, and said that even the prince was offended. They shouldn't create an outcome that will strengthen the power of the princess's faction. The Count and Bon bowed to apologize, and the Count claimed that he'll definitely trap Alto in the next quest. And he'll make sure that Bon, his son, passes the exam in first place and raises the prestige of the prince's faction. The Count personally hired a professional from the underworld, and they must be trying to hinder Alto by debuffing him. So, there's no way he can clear a high-difficulty dungeon while being inflicted with a stamina-reducing debuff. He must have someone from outside giving him buffs. What a coward. Wow. Coming from him. Arthur questioned what cheating he was talking about. During the exam, he was checking on Alto's condition with a remote crystal, and he found nothing suspicious. Bon stuttered, not knowing how to explain. Arthur's eyes narrowed down on him. He's asking on what basis he is claiming that there was no way Alto can beat it. Bon stepped back, claiming that wasn't what he meant. Arthur ignored him and called for Mia next. Meanwhile, Bon, with a pale expression, wondered if they had found out about the conspiracy. No, right? Yeah, probably not. Alto cheered for Mia, who congratulated him for passing. She was worried, but she'll do her best. Alto assured her that she'll be fine since she's been practicing hard for 2 weeks, but she didn't respond and just left. He watched her enter the dungeon, wondering if she'll be okay. A few hours later, Mia suddenly fell on the dungeon's entrance. Alto rushed to her, asking if she was okay. Arthur walked over to them, claiming that she failed and that her performance wasn't good enough. If a student cannot clear this dungeon, they will be forcibly sent back to the entrance. Alto felt worried as she failed 2 of the 3 tests already. That means she has to get 3 emblems in the final exam. Mia assured him that it was okay and thanked him for worrying about her. But he didn't need to worry, as she's not giving up yet. After the second test, Arthur commended everyone for doing a good job and announced that the final exam is in a week. It's a team battle, and they'll have a mock duel in pairs. Anyone whose barrier has been broken will be considered as knockout and will be unable to fight. If both members are knocked out, the team will lose. It seems like plenty of those who have no emblems have already given up, so those who are currently present today will be divided into teams for the third test. Teams will be divided the day before the match, and opponents will be announced on the day of the exam. With that, they're all dismissed. Alto noticed that the number of participants have decreased a lot by almost less than half from the first test. Mia agreed. Most people have no emblems, after all, and even if they pass the test, earning an emblem is a different thing. It looks like quite a lot of people gave up and walked away, even after passing the first and second exams. Alto thought that there's a chance they might get 3 emblems in the next exam, but that has never happened in the past, according to Mia's seniors. If the chances are almost 0, then it is understandable why they gave up. But even so, Alto thinks that she should be proud of herself for being here right now. The two came back to the training grounds to help Mia hone her skills more. Alto crossed his arms, thinking that they shouldn't use intermediate skills yet. If it's close range, it will hit the person, so it's dangerous. Still, Mia thanked Alto for helping her increase her hit rate compared to before. Right, Alto thinks that accuracy improves depending on the skill level, so they should continue improving themselves before the third test. At that moment, a man who had a palace official's badge called out to Mia. Turns out he's her father, Count Knightley. The Count heard that she failed both the night exams and asked if she was still going to continue, as even the royal palace was buzzing with the rumor that the daughter of the Count Knightley aims to become a knight, despite lacking any real talent. It's a disgrace to the noble order and their family. Mia was about to apologize when Alto got in between them and told the Count that Mia has been trying very hard. The Count asked for his identity and whether a person can become a knight through hard work alone, because no matter how hard one tries, results are everything. This rumor is starting to tarnish the family name, and the nobles have their own roles and responsibilities to fulfill. Alto was about to protest, but the Count cut him off, warning Mia not to disgrace their family name any more than she already has. If she fails all the exams, she will be banished from the family. Alto sat beside Mia, whose face was down. He tried to lighten the mood by saying Count Knightley just said whatever he wanted and left. Well, her dad's always been like that. Nobody has any expectations of her since she's not even blessed with any magical talent, so her dad was also against her entering the Knight Academy. Now, even after enrolling, she kept on failing every exam, but she still wants to do her best. He said she can never become a knight, so she wants to prove him wrong. Alto smiled, supporting her decision. At a room in the palace, Baldi scolded Count Bon for failing twice. The Count bowed, apologizing. He never thought Alto would be that stubborn. He totally misjudged him. The next one is the final exam. He understands that there's no second chance, right? Count Bon claimed that he'll definitely succeed next time. Baldi scoffed, complaining that he's all talk, and asked whether he actually had anything planned out. He did. The final exam is a team competition, so first, he'll make arrangements to pair Alto with the weakest student of the class, Mia Knightley. Furthermore, he'll inflict him with a special poison that cannot be cured by normal methods, except for the medicine specifically prepared for it. In that case, Baldi warned him to make sure to do it without fail. At the same time, Alto walked with Mia, whom he didn't expect he'd be paired up with for the final exam. The opponent teams will be announced tomorrow, so there's no point in thinking about it now, but he's happy to be paired with her since they both know each other's fighting styles, which will make it easier to fight. Then, he cheered for them to do their best together tomorrow. Mia looked down, claiming that she'll try her best not to hold him back. Alto assured her that it's okay. They've trained so much, so their efforts and hard work will definitely pay off. Well, Mia hopes so. The sun was starting to set for the day, and Alto needed to be in his best physical condition for the final exam tomorrow, so he'll go home and get some rest. The two bid each other goodbye before going separate ways. As Alto was walking back, Bon approached him to apologize for his behavior up until now. When he thought that tomorrow was the day he would become a knight, he looked back and regretted having always been so childish towards him. Then, he apologized again. Alto assured him that it was fine, while Bon claimed that Alto was so good that he got carried away while thinking that they might as well become colleagues, working together as knights in the future. So, he really wanted to apologize to him. Alto stayed quiet, finding it suspicious. Meanwhile, Bon tapped his shoulder. Today is the day before the final exam, so even him who loves training also needs a break, right? Then, how about they have dinner together? He wanted to treat Alto to a popular restaurant. Alto's not really interested, but it's true that if they might become colleagues, and this bad memory remains, it would hinder their work. So, he agreed to tag along. Bon excitedly grabbed his shoulders and walked with him to the popular restaurant he was talking about. Once the two got there, Bon excused himself to greet the chef as he was an acquaintance of his. After an hour, the two finished eating, with Bon praising the food and asking whether Alto liked it. Alto had an uncomfortable expression on his face before answering that he did. Bon smirked, Clearly, he did something to his food. Since he seemed to be quite tired, Bon suggested going home and resting for today, as they also had to prepare themselves for tomorrow. Alto agreed and came home feeling worse than before. He plopped down on the bed, feeling dizzy. He laid there, wondering if Bon did something to him because he began to feel nauseous during the meal. Or maybe, did he catch a cold? He decided to sleep it off for now. The next day, Mia worriedly looked around for Alto. He seemed to be late, though he's usually punctual and is not the type to come until the very last minute. Just then, she noticed him walking over to her direction while holding onto the wall for support. She rushed to him, asking what was wrong since his complexion didn't look good. Alto thought he might have caught a cold and assured her that it was okay since he can still somehow fight. This is the first time she'd seen Alto look this weak. He's definitely not okay. She suggested informing Arthur and taking a rest while the others have their match, but Alto refused, claiming that when one becomes a knight, they can't take a day off because they're sick. This is also a test to become a knight. Mia was about to protest when Arthur began announcing the opponents for this match. For the first match, Alto and Mia will be fighting against Bon and Gregory. That made her feel worried. Are they really going up against Bon, who has a grudge against Alto, and Gregory, whom she couldn't beat? Oh no. Alto seems to be in a bad shape too. What should she do in a situation like this? Her overthinking was interrupted by Alto, who assured her that they could do it. After all, she's still going to prove her father wrong, isn't she? They stepped on the platform, standing face to face with their opponents. Bon snickered, pointing out that Alto looked unwell and asked whether he was okay. Alto glared at him. Just as he thought, it was his doing. Finally, Arthur announced the beginning of the match. Bon and Gregory both fired the spell Fire Lance, aiming for Alto. Seeing that he couldn't defend himself, Mia put up an ice wall to block their attacks. Then, she rushed back to Alto's side, asking if he was okay. He assured her that he was, and apologized. Bon scoffed, claiming this match was a piece of cake, as he prepared for another attack. He fired off Fireball Rain, while Alto and Mia tried to parry it by activating 16 fireballs and hail shots. However, she missed the shots, so she had to put up another ice wall. Alto thanked her, and she told him not to mention it. She's the one always getting help from him, so it was only right that she pays him back. Bon called out to Gregory, as if delivering a signal, and they ran forward, activating each of their own spells. Mia's eyes widened. It was a pincer attack. At this rate, they'll have to fight them individually. Gregory's spell, Sand Press, aimed for Alto, who tried to counter using the advanced skill, Fire Lance, but it was no good. He can't refine his magic properly. Mia called out to him in worry, but soon had to deal with Bon's attacks. Gregory had every intention to crush Alto, who was now panicking. His skill isn't ready to be fired yet, but he had no choice but to shoot. Alto's fire lance pierced through Gregory's magic, creating a hole in the middle, where Alto collapsed. He somehow managed to avoid a direct hit. That's a relief. Automatic magic works as a substitute for magic circuits, but creating skills depends on him. Gregory would not let Alto rest and fired off sand shots. Alto fought them off with fireballs. This isn't good. If it becomes a drawn-out battle, he'll definitely lose. He's barely even holding on because of the pain, and he might lose consciousness any time. He must avoid Mia putting herself in a one-on-one situation. Even if they have to stab each other, he will defeat him. Alto activated another fire lance. Gregory had a terrified expression as he looked at its massive size. Additionally, without advanced skills, it can't be countered. He tried to block it with sand shot and managed to cancel it out. However, Alto fired off another one. This time, Gregory was unable to stop it and ended up getting hit, causing his barrier to break, and flew off the platform, unconscious. Arthur announced that Gregory's knocked out, shocking Bon. He can't believe that Alto defeated Gregory, who was a top achiever, even though he was still poisoned. As expected of Alto, Mia turned to him, but found him collapsed on the ground. Alto tried to activate another spell, but he soon lost consciousness, meaning he's knocked out, and this will now be a one-on-one battle between Mia and Bon. Arthur carried Alto off the platform while Bon laughed, claiming this is the end. She already lost the moment Alto got knocked out. Now she can't do anything to him. Then he smirked, claiming that he drained Alto's stamina and defeated him when he was at his weakest state. He and Gregory were supposed to easily defeat Mia, but oh well, this also doesn't seem to be a bad turn of events. Mia's such a loser that he's enough for her. He attacked Mia using the spell Fire Lance, but she was able to defend using the ice wall. However, she was struggling as the attacks seemed to be more powerful than before. Bon fired off more attacks, creating cracks on her defense, and mocked her by saying she couldn't win by just defending alone. She couldn't even get one emblem, so there's no point in trying now. Still, Mia couldn't lose at any cost. This time, not only hers, but also Alto's path to becoming a knight depends on her. Mia's ice wall barrier finally broke, with Bon belittling her. Her magical aptitude, and even her skills are all too weak. Now he'll show her the difference between them. Bon activated 5 fire lances, an intermediate skill, at once. The audience cheered for him, and Mia slowly gave up. There was no way that she could stand against him with her current abilities. This is the end of her dream. So she lowered her hands, accepting her defeat. Bon released his attack, bidding Mia goodbye. She just stood there, waiting for the attack to hit her when she noticed that one of them had an off trajectory. It seems to be aiming for Alto. Mia immediately ran towards him. If he gets hit with an intermediate skill directly, then it will be fatal. She ran as fast as she could, calling out to Alto in a desperate plea, with tears streaming down her cheeks. In that split second, she remembered that appraisal ceremony where Alto was declared to have no skills. Actually, she was there. She watched him walking shakily, full of despair. She called out to him, but he left without noticing. Both of them were born into nobility, but they both have low aptitude for magic. That day, she saw him training alone in the forest. They were both troublemakers and burdens to their family, so that might be why she could relate to him. She heard that he was later kicked out of his house, but despite his circumstances and having lower aptitude than her, his eyes still hadn't lost their sparkle. She was shy and always worried about the things that were going around her, but she was touched by his unwavering efforts, and before she knew it, she had grown to admire him. He got low wages even though he worked hard, and his team members insulted him, but he still gave them buffs. Even though his physical strength should have already reached its limit, he continued to train on his own. She's in a much more fortunate environment than him, so there's no way she can't do her best. Encouraged by him, she started training and tried her best to catch up to him. She also worked hard at her training and got enrolled in the Royal Knights Academy. For about 3 years since she entered the school, she just kept trying, but she still failed every exam and everyone made fun of her. That's why she didn't have the time to rest. When she found Alto at the night selection exam briefing, her heart leapt and she was overjoyed. But he showed such an overwhelming strength that she thought that he now belonged to some other world, far ahead of her. When she looked at how he was gaining recognition from everyone, she felt a strange mixture of happiness and loneliness. Even so, she mustered up all the courage and called out to him. She even asked him a question impetuously, and he was kind enough to answer her. Even though he had a confused look on his face, he still thought hard about it. Because he was always at the center of her heart, no matter what happened, she didn't break. No matter what happened, she looked forward. No matter what happened, she stood up. So now, it's her turn to save him. She jumped up, stretching her arm to reach for Alto and shouting that she's coming for him. Chapters end at 14.1. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you love this manga. Have a good day.